So I like recording these things because I learned through my DJ times, there's the people who are in the room with you, and then later, many times that are going to be able to experience this and listen to it and learn from it. And I'm so grateful that I had the foresight back in the 90s to record a lot of my DJ mixes, because at the time, with the internet being what it was, people just weren't thinking that way. And so much of that history is just gone. It's lost, like these once in a lifetime experiences are just gone. And I'm fortunate that I have those. And that's what drives me today. So I know there's two audiences. There's the audience who's in the room with me right now. And then there's the audience that will watch this, as the time passes. So thank you for those of you in the room with me right now. My name is Chris Frolic. What I want you to know about me is this. I'm solving climate change by collaborating with the most audacious, unorthodox, rule-breaking entrepreneurs on the planet. And I'm moved to do this because it upsets me when children, including my own, have absorbed messaging that the apocalypse is inevitable. And we're missing out on such huge opportunities to be inspiring these kids, because they're the ones that are going to be leading the charge on these solutions. And I know what my role is in this, and that is to spread hope, to demonstrate things that once seen cannot be unseen. And right now I'm focused on writing a book called We Can Do This: Entrepreneur Solutions for Climate Change, where I'm profiling demonstrable innovations, like things that exist today. There's not one single magic wand solution. However, we're all in this together, and I'm focusing. I imagine it kind of like a bicycle wheel and all the different spokes, and I'm going to focus on one spoke. And I understand entrepreneurial mindsets because I'm one of them. I understand what it means to be an action taker. I understand what it means to create something that didn't exist before. And I want to be part of that. And I'm using my superpowers now on that mission, combined with my selfish desires of being on stage, what the world needs. And that's what leads me here today. What I don't want you to know about me was, before the first person showed up, I was afraid no one was going to come. I was wrestling with what was going to happen if nobody came. And I was telling myself that it's okay. And I still feel it. And it doesn't matter how many times I've done this, and it doesn't matter how many thousands of people I've had in front of me at different times in my life, it is still with me. Thank you, though, to those of you in the room. Raise your hand if you are in the United States. Thank you. Raise your hand if you're in Canada right now. Thank you. Raise your hand if you're outside of Canada, the United States. Thank you. Raise your hand if it's nighttime where you are right now. Yeah. Okay. Raise your hand if you're skipping work to be here right now. All right, cool. Yeah, thank you. Raise your hand if you've kind of been with me for less than a year. Thank you. Raise your hand if you've been with me for 2 to 4 years. Raise your hand if you've been with me for more than 5 years, or sorry, 5 or more years. Yeah, thank you. The topic of today is called Ask Me Anything. I like to do this every once in a while. It's a favorite activity of mine, because I both am able to share and help people, but it's like I'm creating my own hot seat. I'm really challenging myself. I don't ask for questions in advance. I don't seed things. It's just, and I test myself. What's going to happen like in this moment, and that's one of my superpowers. So like really lean into that, and I really enjoy that. And a word that's come to me in recent times to describe what I do is a daredevil. And when I Googled the phrase daredevil, it's someone who's a willingness to take bold and or take bold risks. And I realized, yeah, so I don't have to be jumping a car over like a bunch of school buses or something like that, or jumping out of an airplane, but I'm willing to just in front of an audience, just see what happens. And I realized I used to do this as a DJ. I would mix records together that I'd never mixed before, but in that moment, I trusted myself. Let's just see what happens. And I would do this in front of thousands of people. So I like to tap into that energy and experience that I have and be a daredevil. When I looked up the definition of daredevil, it also included the word reckless. And at first I kind of recoiled at the word reckless and I didn't like it. And then whenever you don't like something, it kind of invites you to think about it. And I realized I have been reckless in my life. Like there's many times I've been reckless. I used to promote raves and I would sell thousands of tickets and not know where I was going to host this thing. And it could be days before the event and I still didn't know where I was going to do it. And I'm older and wiser now. There's some situations I won't allow myself to fall into again. However, the spirit of that recklessness, the daredevil, I want to just lean into that. And I'm not spinning records anymore, but I'm just fielding questions and seeing what happens. And on that note, I'd like to open the floor. Who would like to ask me anything? Sandra.
Hello. So fun to be here. Thanks, Chris. And it's really interesting the way you talked about daredevil, reckless, etc. Because I think of you as an explorer. I think of you as remember back in grade, I'm dating myself now, but back in grade 5, we learned about Vasco da Gama and Magellan and Ponce de Leon and all of these explorers who would, get in these like huge ships and sail out into the unknown. So that's the way I think about you. That makes me wonder, because when I think of those explorers, I am so not an explorer. But when I think of those folks, I always think of like risk and the risks that they took to do what they did. And so I have a question about you're a daredevil, you're somewhat reckless, you're, in my mind, an explorer looking at uncharted territory. What do you do for fun?
Thank you. Okay, the first thing that pops in my head, you're looking at it. So this is fun. I also know, when there's something about inhabiting fun and play that is magic, right? Like you're really tapped into something that's so easy for you. So this is fun for me. I've written in the past about the things you easily would do for free. That's you at your most valuable. So like this is it, right? So like what would be possible for me to take what I'm doing right now and put it in another venue, right? So and that would be fun. Okay, let me think about what would be my next answer to your question. So the daredevil in me, I'm actually kind of meek a little bit when you think about other activities, so I'm not I don't jump out of airplanes. I've never bungee jumped in my life. I've never, like, I'm not involved in extreme sports or anything like that. I'm a homebody. Like I'm, you know, and COVID, on one hand, has been easier for me because it hasn't affected my life that much, because I'm just a natural homebody. What else is coming to my mind is, for fun, I like to play video games. You know, I grew up with video games. It's still a big part of my life. Some of you are aware I built an arcade in my house, like full of pinball machines. And I was part of the Toronto Pinball League for 10 years. Every Monday I'd play pinball with friends. Well, they became friends. And what was interesting about that was that I realized as I started making these pinball friends, they were the first new friends I'd made in over 10 years as an adult. As an adult, it's hard to make new friends. And it was so nice to be in a room with people where there was this real shared common interest. And I could just be standing next to anybody and we could talk about pinball. And we had that to jump off of. And usually it involved, what have you bought lately? Like, what pinball machine have you bought? How much did you pay for it? What have you sold? How much did you sell it for? It's always those 4 questions. And what's funny is when my wife was hosting a league for non-dudes, the Toronto Pinball Vixens, I could overhear them through the vent of what they're talking about. They're talking about teenage pregnancy. They were talking about it was so sex stuff in a way that women discuss sex things. And it was just, so that was funny, but I enjoyed the comfort of my group where we could just talk about the pinball machines. And that was a big part of my life. And well, those are my answers for you, Sandra. Jackson, I see your hand. I'm just going to check in with Sandra to see how she's doing here.
Yeah, that's great. I guess I'm kind of interested in just that notion of how, as we get, as we enter sort of new phases of our life, as we kind of change our orientation to the world, how does our conceptualization of fun and exploring and taking risks, how does that change? So I knew you would say that this is fun for you, as I know you. But I guess I'm also thinking about, you know, sort of the trajectory that we're all on as we move through life, and how our understanding of fun and challenge and change transforms through that. So you hit on.
Yeah, and my experience has been, so one of the traps I keep falling into is expecting like this lightning bolt to come out of nowhere and strike me with this brand new thought, a brand new idea, this brand new direction. And the answer is, it's already known to me. These things are known to me. So pinball, I got into it because, you know, growing up in the arcades, you know, in the 1980s, this Ask Me Anything is a new stage for me, but I have experience on being on stage for 25 years in different mediums. So my answer for you today is your answer is already known to you. But the venue might be different. You've muted yourself, so are you satisfied? Okay. Thank you. Jackson, I saw your hand earlier, then Leslie, I'll call on you next. So Jackson. Before you speak, Jackson, I'd just like to share where you are in the world right now, because I happen to know that. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I'm happy to be here. I'm just for everyone's information, I'm based in Thailand, Koh Samui in Thailand. So it's 1:20 a.m. for me. So when Chris asked, "Is it night?" I was like, "Is it night? It's really very early in the morning. It's not really night." So
It's dark outside where you are. Yeah.
yeah, it's dark outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's I have two questions,
Yes.
and
Let's
it's
break.
interesting.
So we'll break it up. So ask your first question, then we'll come back to your second question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'll ask the other question that I really want to. As I'm into this journey about, you know, putting myself out there,
Yes.
and my family, especially my wife, is a person who is very conservative, I would say, or very not so open-minded. So she's like, don't wash your dirty linen in public. We don't need to tell people how good we are. We don't need to show off, whatever that we have, and tell people about where we went to and what food we eat and all that, so long as we're happy. And I, on the other hand, is almost kind of reckless. I don't really care about what people think about me, although as I say that, I'm like, that's not really true. I know I worry about what people think of me. So this force within my family, I was like, we need to be private, and here I am. I need to put myself out there, and I'm struggling with this. I'm just wondering, for you, do you go through that struggle? And if you do, how do you overcome that in your journey? I mean, yeah. So that's my question.
Okay. Thank you. So that's question one, and we'll circle back afterwards. So what you're talking about is a very common challenge. Well, even in the room right now, raise your hand if you relate to what Jackson's talking about. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's huge. There's a phrase called tall poppy syndrome, where when poppies outgrow the others, they get cut. And we as human beings are afraid of that. What happens if I rise above the other poppies? And I certainly fell into that trap myself for many years. You're watching me now, kind of on the other side of that. And my experience has been it's been only good for me. There was a lot of pain that I carried, like, every day. Just feeling bad about myself, being worried about other people, like, all the time, like, and I truly don't know what these people are thinking, but I'm making up stories in my head that I should. The word "should" is one of your trigger catchwords. So whenever you hear "should" popping up, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, start paying attention to that. I realize as well, people are struggling out there, and I would feel bad. Like, how can I talk about being successful when people are struggling? And someone shared with me, they're like, they told me once, they're like, Chris, people need hope. People need to know that it's possible. Like, that, from the struggle, it's possible to break free and achieve things and have success. And certainly from my own story of the struggles that I've had, I was hiding all that. Like, I was ashamed of my struggles, and it was only when I started telling them and revealing them. And what surprises me is how much people relate to my struggle, even though part of me, the story, and I still have this in my head, is I am weird and unique, and nobody can relate to me unless they've been me and they've done the things I've done. And yet no one in this room has been a world famous DJ and a hypnotist and a rave promoter. And yet you're all here because you felt connection with me. And the connection you feel with me is only possible because I've let you in. And I've been willing to speak it and share it. I'm checking in with you, Jackson.
Yeah. So I thank you for sharing. So I hear it, and then I believe what I heard is that you go through that struggle as well, about this differences in how your family members think of what you are doing, and so your answer would be because you walk through the journey and that rewards is worth it.
The reward is worth it. I know how unhappy I was prior. There's people out there that will never get me. There's people out there, I will always be annoying to them. I will always be a braggart to them. My own father does not get me. He doesn't understand the concept of anything other than trading time for money. He doesn't understand what it means to create value. And he said he has said and continues to say very hurtful things to me. And I refuse to let that bring me down. And so Jax, what I can share with you today is just my own personal experience of having wrestled with that. And now I when you're dealing with a spouse, okay, and again, I'm going to relate to my own experiences. Robin has not always gotten what I'm doing, but I see it kind of like we're attached by like a rubber band, and because we're married, I pull Robin along with me, and we are having incredible, we're making incredible progress as a couple today that was impossible a few years ago. But I feel like the rubber band has been like pulling Robin along with me.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Chris. Appreciate that.
What is you said you had a second question.
Oh, I'll let Leslie go first, and then if there are no questions, then I'll circle back. Okay?
Hold on. Sorry, Leslie. I want to,
Yeah.
Jackson, you kind of mentioned something about a question you were a little bit scared to ask. I forget what you said earlier, but you caught my interest.
Oh.
I'm very curious what your second question is, because there's something you'd said earlier that made me think, oh, the real question is the second question.
No, so actually, I in my mind now, I even forgot the second question, but I think this is my real question, and I thought
Please
that
give it to me.
I wanted answer on the question that I just asked you more important than my other question that I've forgotten now. So let's I would say, yeah, when I think of that question again, I'll come back.
Okay. All right.
But,
all right. Okay. I will accept that. Thank you, Jackson. We can circle back. Yeah. Hey, Leslie.
Hey, all right. So Chris, I have maybe for the last 4 or 5 weeks, have been networking like I've never networked before. I created a pitch, 20-minute pitch on my services as a team coach. And that is so huge for me that I've been reaching out and making it super easy for people to book through Calendly, a 20-minute time slot. And I can't describe it, but I think you'll understand how important that has been for me to just be able to get out there. And I think this ties in a little bit with what Jackson was saying too, but just getting myself out there. So
yeah. So may I interrupt?
Yes.
Because you and I have known each other for some years. You attended the same coaching training school that I was at, and that's how you connected to me. So I'm aware you've been on this journey now for years.
And so many false starts.
Yeah.
So many. And so I think without me having to ramble on, I think you'll understand how significant this has been. But I have a very simple question for you. Chris, is what's your best business advice for me to go out and pitch people?
Okay, so I have two thoughts. I'm just gonna write something down here so I don't forget it, and then I'm gonna come back to it. So I do have an answer for what you just asked me, but I was curious, even as you were sharing your story, that something recently has changed for you. So after years of the wheels in the mud spinning. So I'm actually quite curious, Leslie. What was it that changed?
I just had this sort of in the moment conversation with somebody that I know. I'm actually in Florida, Chris, but you know I live in Collingwood.
Yes.
We have a unit here, and there's lots of people in my building. I just happened to be speaking to someone who's in his 70s, and I just said, "What do you do?" And he said, "Oh, I'm a coach." So I said, "Oh, I'd love to talk to you and pick your brain," because he's obviously been around for a while. And he put me on the hot seat, Chris. He said, "What's your pitch? What's your elevator pitch?" And I was like, well, it wasn't that great.
Yeah.
So his advice to me is go learn about sales. Here's a couple of really good books. And so that allowed me to think about this as a process, not to have that lofty goal and one day, wouldn't it be nice? But I started realizing how important it is to just do step-by-step process. So based on some advice I got from my readings, I put together this pitch. And by having something tangible and saying to people, hey, you could help me, I could help you. You can help me by just listening to my pitch and giving me some feedback. So that's it in a nutshell, Chris.
All right, Leslie, I'm putting you on the hot seat right now.
Oh,
pitch me.
Well, I'd actually love to, but I'll give you my elevator pitch if you like.
Okay, so I put you on the spot there, but
that's okay.
Take a beat, take a moment. Like we have this time together, and you got me. I would love to hear it, and if it's okay with you, I will offer you feedback on what it is that I hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so pretend. Okay. I want you with 100% sincerity giving me this pitch. So don't act it out. Just truly pitch me.
Yeah. So hi, I'm Leslie. I'm a coach.
Leslie.
Specialize in coaching teams. And what I love to do is to help teams really move into their potential. And I do that by helping them co-create this culture of collaboration and creative problem solving. I forgot that last bit. There was another bit of, anyway, I didn't look at anything written down, but that's basically my elevator pitch. There's probably more to it than that, but I didn't want it to be all rehearsed, Chris. So
I appreciate that. And I appreciate you kind of stepping up to the bat here. And I appreciate that you're willing to do it, because to me, these little moments make us. And so so you're coach of teams, you help with collaboration, and then there was one other thing you mentioned.
Yeah. I just, can I go back to my notes, because it was
go ahead. Yeah.
Continuous learning. That's a big deal. Collaboration and continuous learning. So those teams can get to the next level.
Teams can get to the next level. Okay.
Yeah.
And what's changed for you in recent? So you've felt more comfortable just saying this?
It's a work in progress, Chris.
Yeah.
The more I'm doing my pitch, I'm getting the really helpful feedback is the critical feedback. And the big learning for me, it was one of those V8 moments. It's like, oh yeah, I'm a coach. I should be listening more. And because it was like a, death by PowerPoint. That's what somebody said. Other people loved it, but it occurs to me that before I launch into here are the 4 issues that I think can disrupt even the very best teams. The first thing that I need to do moving forward is, so what are your issues, Chris, with your team? And just, I'm going to shut up and you can tell me what's keeping you up at night about your team. So that was a big shift for me to realize.
And when you say team, what does that mean?
Oh, a team. It's a group of people who work together, but they're interdependent. So I have a background in project management. So my comfort zone is project teams because I understand the beginning, the middle, and the end of a project engagement. But, any team is going to have goals. They're going to have struggles. They're going to have milestones, things that they need to achieve. So I think what I can do is I can work with any team, but it's really all about that continuous learning. What have we learned from this? How can we take this learning and move forward? And it's that group learning. It's not this individual being coached. It's just, how can we kind of shape ourselves to be better than what we are?
All right. Gotcha. So I'm challenging myself right now in this moment to serve you as powerfully as I can.
Okay.
Well,
That's great.
so yeah. And the way I can do that is to get out of coaching language and these terms that I'm hearing you talk about, and pull it into my world, which is more entrepreneurial and problem solving.
Yeah.
And and this is why I'm here, because I want to bring this to you, right? So when you talk about struggles that teams are dealing with, what's an example of that?
Just team disharmony.
And what does that look like? So I can tell you're using language that's very
Okay.
it's very known to you and comfortable to you, but it doesn't.
I'll give you an example.
I'm not from that world, so it doesn't actually mean a lot to me. So I'm going to start. I'm going to keep like pulling the layers. But
I'll give you something that's real,
yes,
tangible. Somebody was saying to me, answering that question, they said, "I've got 2 team members that don't talk to each other."
All right. So that's one. What's another struggle that teams have?
Okay, I'm trying to get away from coach speak.
Go ahead and speak however you're comfortable with, and I've
experienced this, Chris. It's leader as superhero.
And what does that mean?
It's someone who thinks they need to do all the problem solving themselves.
So this would be the head of the team?
Yeah, a team leader, project manager.
So the project manager is thinking they need to do everything.
Oh yeah, and they're exhausted.
Yeah. Who, in your ideal outcome, who hires you? Like who's the actual client?
It would be someone who holds a budget, but I think that my entry point into these conversations have been through people I know through work, my volunteer network who are involved in managing projects because they know me. I realized a long time ago that cold calling doesn't seem to work very well. So I'm definitely tapping into people I've known for quite a while, but these could be the people who say, yeah, Leslie, I'll help you. What do you need from me? And so that
Who's
could
that person though? Is that the project manager? Is that someone higher up in the organization?
it would probably be someone who's sort of associated to HR as a decision maker or a budget holder, or it could be maybe up to a director level. And this has only happened once, yeah, Chris, where I've actually been able to pitch to someone who's in talent management.
When you have a team that has a leader acting as a superhero and they're exhausted, and what does it make the team members feel?
Oh, well, they just lose belief in their own abilities. Like they're just order takers.
Okay. And how would you, in one word, describe those team members?
Ah. Pretty disengaged, pretty deflated, resigned.
I'm Leslie, and I help struggling teams that want to take it to the next level, but are wrestling with team leaders that are falling into a superhero mode and feeling that they need to do all the work themselves and leaving their other team members feeling frustrated and deflated and resigned. And I help them collaborate and take it to that next level.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, so you're introducing the pain point right into that elevator pitch.
I am, because to me, it's all about the pain point. And
Yeah.
I believe that all entrepreneurs need to, if not, sorry, I believe all coaches need to be entrepreneurial, if not
Absolutely.
entrepreneurial, which means, and all entrepreneurs solve problems. So what is the problem you're trying to solve?
Yeah.
And lead with that.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's great, Chris. And I think that I just need to kind of find that balance of being the sounding board, allowing someone to kind of vent, go on the soapbox,
Yep.
but also to lead with that kind of a statement. And
Yep.
it could be that right after that statement, that's where I can say, okay, you've got the floor. I'd love to hear what's bothering you right now. What's currently on your mind in terms of your own team functioning?
Let them tell you what their problem is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I want to invite them, right?
For sure. So Leslie, I'm gonna model this for you right now. Okay, so we're gonna switch roles again.
Okay.
So so you're you, I'm me. Leslie.
Oh, I am. Okay. All right.
What would you say is the single biggest challenge you're facing today?
Oh, am I being the team leader now?
You're
Or
you.
being
You're you. Answer for yourself.
Oh, what's the biggest challenge I'm having right now?
In your life.
Oh, in my life. Well, I feel like I've got this challenge, but I feel like I'm finally facing it, to be honest with you. And so I think the challenge is probably time management. And
What's the, I'm going to be provocative here with you a little.
okay.
What's the answer you don't want to tell me?
What might be holding me up a little bit is I don't have a huge track record in team coaching. I've done some one-on-one, I've done some team coaching, but it's not like with companies that anyone would really know. So that
How would
might,
you, okay,
yeah.
because I think I know what your answer is, but I want to hear it from you. How would you
Oh.
sum up that challenge in one word?
Credibility.
What else?
I think it's just a continuous process of self-belief.
Self-belief. So the word I wrote down in my note just now was confidence.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Confidence, for sure.
So you said self-belief. I wrote down confidence.
Mhm.
Let me ask you again, and we'll see if those hold. What is the single biggest challenge you're facing in your life today, Leslie?
I would say just recognizing my own value, that I have so much to offer. And maybe just convincing myself that I have so much to offer.
Recognizing your own value.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is this is the most perfect answer to that question, and 1's we're not there, where would you rate that?
Rating my answer to that question?
Recognizing your own value. How is that as
Oh.
an answer? Yeah. If you're to rate
Where-
that,
Oh, as the biggest challenge I'm having.
yeah, you're facing today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's along those lines. But again, I think what I'm doing right now, I can see that being very fluid, that it is improving.
What would you give that, recognizing your own value as your single biggest challenge you're facing right now? What numerical rating would you give that?
8.
What answer would turn that up to a 10 for you?
I'm a little stumped. I can't think of. It's all going to be sort of a nuance of that. So my biggest challenge. I think it's it's that recognizing when I'm not feeling confident, and it's dealing with those moments of self-doubt and thinking, okay, this is temporary, this is going to go away, and just recognizing that as sort of a regular occurrence and being okay with that.
So dealing with those moments of self-doubt.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, dealing with the moments of self-doubt, just having that kind of wave, but then
sorry,
recognizing that this is going to pass.
my camera. Okay, I've switched cameras. I'll deal with the tech stuff later. Okay, so I'm curious. So dealing with those moments of self-doubt,
Yeah.
what does that mean for you?
It's sort of riding that wave. it's recognizing that, okay, nothing bad is going to happen. This is just normal. This is sort of my part of me that's just trying to protect me and wanting me to go play it safe and not bother with any of this.
Instead of self-doubt, what is it that you would like to feel instead?
Oh, adventurous. Because in my good moments, I do feel adventurous and I feel super excited. It's like when Sandra was asking you, what do you do for fun? Like, this is fun. Being able to connect with somebody and to be able to give them my pitch and to have them take some value away, even if it's a pitch, to go away with some kind of new learning or insight.
I could feel your energy change even just as you talk about that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like coaching, but then it's also this sort of rediscovery of people I've had that have been in my distant past and having a real connection. That's been cool.
So I said I was going to model for you. I've been doing it this whole time, and now I'm going to take you to the next step. And this is something I've developed for myself. I often describe myself as being in the Chris Frolic business, and I don't like to use labels to describe me. So Leslie, as you know, for years now, you know, as I think about like, how am I going to help people? What is it that I can bring that's going to help people? And I went to like me specifically, Chris, like, what is it that I can bring to this? You know, and I went to bed one night thinking about it, and I went and laid down, and I woke up that next morning, and I was thinking about the movie The Matrix. You've seen it? Yeah. So it was very peculiar. I was thinking about The Matrix, and I was thinking, it wasn't just of The Matrix itself, but of a scene in that film, of a white room. Like, do you remember a scene in that film in a white room? Like, it's kind of near the beginning of the film when Neo gets sort of liberated for the first time, and Morpheus is kind of explaining to him what's happening.
Right. Yeah.
There's a white room, like this white room, and that white room had a name, and I'm guessing you don't remember it. I couldn't remember it that morning, but I pulled up my phone. I went to Netflix. They had it. I opened it up. I jumped to that scene in the film. So I moved the slider along. Here's the white room. Out comes Morpheus, and he says, "This is the construct." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Like this white room, right? So, and then I started imagining, like, what if so this white room called the construct in the film is a place where they can play, and anything's possible. And some rules of reality they can bend, and others they can just break. And I asked myself, what if I could do that? Like, what if I could create this place, the construct, a place where some rules could be bent and others can be broken? And I realized I can. And so my invitation to you, Leslie, is, what if we were to bring in your biggest challenge of looking for more adventure in your life and to feel super excited, and bring it into this place called the construct, and let's play in there and find out where that will be for you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and I feel like I'm doing some rule bending already, so I totally get what you're saying.
So
yeah,
I'm gonna kind of break character now and just kind of talk about what I just did there. That was a powerful invitation. And that's an invitation no one's ever said no to me for. And I'm first I had to ask, like, what is it that we could possibly bring in there? And I spent some time with you on that. And but at the core, you got to find out what people are struggling with, and how you can help them, and then offer up a possibility. Now, in my case, like when I say the construct, and I'm not talking about a metaphor, I'm talking about a powerful coaching session.
Yeah.
A powerful coaching session where some rules can be bent and others are broken. And we're going to find that adventure, and we're going to find that excitement.
Cool. Chris, I have to go because I do have something happening at 2:00, but
I appreciate it, Leslie. I
yeah,
feel
no,
good
I
there.
appreciate it so
That
much.
concludes.
Sorry for taking up so much airtime here with
Oh,
other.
I'm sure no one in the room, I'm sure, regrets that just happened.
Oh,
So,
okay. Well, that's great, Chris.
yeah. Thank you, Leslie, for
super.
coming. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Bye,
Yeah.
everybody.
Okay. Thank you. All right. That was fun. I haven't actually done that in a little while. So, but that's my example of making a powerful invitation, but I make it uniquely my own. And when I talk about being in the Chris Frolic business, it's playing around like that. We're almost at the top of the hour. I am curious, what do you think I need to hear? What words of wisdom do you have for me that will help me? And I'm going to invite you to type it into the chat right now and just say Chris, comma, and what is it that I need to hear from you, from your deepest place of wisdom?
Can I get back to you on that, Chris? I've got to go. I've got a client.
Okay,
I've got
you got to
fun.
go. Thanks, Sandra. See ya.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Instead of the chat, can I just tell you, Chris?
Please.
Yeah, everything you started off this an hour ago with Daredevil, On the Edge, the book, climate change, all that stuff. I mean, it's all keep doing it. Don't quit. Don't give up. Keep molding it. Keep chipping away at it. I guess that's my kind of what I'm trying to respond to.
Thank you. Thanks, Michael. Jackson. So I was kind of curious by offering that up, what might show up. And Jackson, I want to invite you right now to change what you just said to me and say it to yourself. So instead of saying my name, say Jackson, and then just read aloud what you just said to me.
Jackson, I think what you need to hear from me is that you're special, and I continue to be amazed that you feel otherwise from my perspective. I forgot this, and it happened during one of the journey that my statement, my question, my comment, and it is so powerful when I use that on myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackson. And I appreciate your words for both me and yourself. Michael, what does it mean to you to tell yourself, keep doing this?
We've been on a journey together for the last 2 or 3 years. The clouds are beginning to part. We're moving into the next season of life. Yeah. The crap has gone in the last couple of years. And there's this awakening. The days are longer, spring is coming. All these metaphors that spring to mind. So yeah, keep going, keep chipping, keep striving.
So let me invite you to, so literally tell yourself, so say Michael, and then go ahead and finish it.
Yeah, Michael, just keep chipping away, have faith that one season will follow the next. Have faith that spring is coming. Have faith that the seasons are over. Faith, believe, trust. This is a journey. It's my journey, nobody else's.
Beautiful. It's some wisdom.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being part of this today. Thank you for being part of my fun. Thank you for feeding my selfish desires of being on stage and doing this. And that's it. So you can unmute and say goodbyes, and we'll see you next time. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Chris.
you, Chris.
Goodbye.
Appreciate it. Yeah. See you, Michael. Bye.
You too, Jackson. Take care.
Bye-bye.